Hey guys, in this video I'd like to talk about imposter syndrome, where it comes from, why you might be suffering from it, and how you can get past imposter syndrome. So, first of all, let's talk about you, yourself, and your mentality. Because, like I said before, becoming a good programmer isn't only about writing code, it's about your mentality. It's about going through a lot of resistance. You apply to 1,000 jobs, you'll get rejected 1,000 times. Then you apply to another 1,000 jobs and maybe you get called back once. Right? You fail that interview and then you apply for another 1,000 and it keeps going on and on and on. This is key. It's about your mentality. And another aspect of your mentality that's very important is whether you are suffering from imposter syndrome or not. So, what is imposter syndrome? It is something that every great programmer will go through at some point in their life and in their career. And that is the belief that you should not be here. You are not smart enough to be here. Because of your past, because of your family, because of a disability you might have, you shouldn't be here in this situation. You shouldn't be learning how to code, and you shouldn't be trying to get a job. And when you have a job, you shouldn't be in the job. The hiring manager made a mistake, right? These are all things I have felt in my career. These are all things that I had to go through when I was learning how to code. And my answer to you to help you get through imposter syndrome, because this is very important and it's about your mentality, I want you to look back, how were you educated? All right. How was your childhood? When I was a kid, I would fail a lot of my tests, right? I was not good in a classroom of 30 people. So I would go to a classroom and I just could not stay focused in a classroom of 30 people. And then I'd get to the test and I'd actually do very relatively well for someone who wasn't paying attention in class. And this kept going, and I didn't want to go to university, and I ended up going into university, and then my ability to learn just accelerated, because a lot of the time when I was told, hey, you go do this, right, instead of being in a classroom but being told to do my own research on something, I would come back with a lot of research being done, and I would have done a lot of depth, and I was very good at that, right? And that's the way I learned things. That's the way I accelerated the best. And I would have never learned that unless my mother hadn't forced me to go to university. So I want you to understand something very key about your past, is that the school system that you went to may have not been the best way to unlock your full potential, like it was not the best way to unlock my full potential, right? You might have a style of learning that could be beneficial for yourself and it could help you progress, right? And you just haven't realized what that style was. And once I got the confidence and I did very well in my university course when I was studying by myself, I decided to learn programming by myself, right? Because it was, for me, it was easier when I could just work on something by myself and then go back to someone and get feedback on what I've done, and they would point me in the right direction if I went too left or went too right. So just think about that as well. Like, look back at your past, see, did you have any negative experiences with learning? And just remember that, hey, that is not you. The school system was not designed for you to unlock your full potential. So that is the first thing I would say when it comes to dealing with this imposter syndrome. We need to look at the past, the distant past. The next thing I would say when it comes to imposter syndrome, right, is this idea that you shouldn't be here, you're not special, or you can't do it, you can't do what other people do, right? And it's impossible. You don't have the kind of brain. You're not a super genius. Maybe you watch some TV show of some guy who mastered coding at the age of 14 or something like that. Look, let me just be completely clear with you, right? this idea of a super genius or someone who is just born is fantasy, it's in movies, it is not necessarily a real person. Okay? The majority of good programmers out there started at the same place you are right now, not knowing how to publish their website after creating a HTML file. I started off with opening a JavaScript file and not knowing how to write a function. Alright? The majority of us who are real people in real life, we all started from zero and we got to this point by persevering, looking at our computer screens and continuing to code when we didn't know what the answer was. We kept Googling, we kept Stack Overflowing, we kept ChatGPTing, we kept doing stuff, right? So you do not have to be a super genius. Take it from me, I am no kind of super genius. If I can become a programmer, you can become a programmer. You can get a job. Okay? So you do not have to worry about you're not the right kind of person or anything like that, right? I have met widely different types of people who program. There is nothing special or there is nothing commonly special or commonly unique about us, right? We are all different in several different ways, right? The only thing we have in common is that when we had this problem, we all kept trying to fix it, trying to figure out, asking more senior people, getting advice. That is the only thing that I think makes you a programmer, is your ability to continue to problem solve. And I'm gonna end this video by talking about you and where you came from. And if you ever feel like you want to tell me it's impossible for you to learn something or it's impossible for you to know something, I want to say to you that like our whole entire lives, you know, is based on a miracle in a sense. At some point, you were a sperm that collided with an egg. That collision then created cells. These cells then came to form you. Some of them would form your hair, some of them would go on to form your liver, right? You come from that miracle. And then, right, you were able to go to school and learn a human language. And then at some point, you proved your proficiency in that human language. You were able to learn mathematics. And then at some point, you proved your proficiency at mathematics. These are all far, far more difficult things than learning how to code, right? You started from a place that was much lower and you got to a place that's much higher. You have already done something far more difficult. You've learned to communicate, you've learned to integrate into society, you've done math, English, and I don't care if you failed your English or your math test. You have still shown some level of proficiency when at some point of time you were just a sperm that collided with an egg. You were just a baby who didn't know how to speak. You have come a very long way, and this programming thing is just another hurdle in your journey to get to where you want to be. Whether that's financially free, you have more money for yourself, or to prove yourself and to show the world that you're just an awesome person or an amazing programmer. I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you face these issues with imposter syndrome, you talk to other people, other programmers, more experienced programmers. I'm always available for a talk if you want to talk about any anxiety that you're going through, right? Because I have been through it. I have fought all these things that you are thinking, and I've come out on the other side, and I only love programming even more, and I think and I believe and I want to be here. Thank you for watching my video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I am going to be dropping a video on how to create a beautiful, beautiful header video in React. So I'll see you there. Have a nice day.